Hello and welcome to First Page Fridays. I'm April Davila for Sit Right Here, and this is where we read over people's first pages and give constructive feedback to help them improve their work. It could be the first page of their book, the first page of the chapter. I don't know. I haven't even read it yet. We're going to read through it together and then do a live story/line edit, very high level feedback. We don't get into copy edits with this, and yeah, hopefully we all learn something in the process. So I'm going to shrink myself down. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can follow along. And if you'd like to submit a page of your own writing, there's a link in the notes below where you can fill out a form and send in your pages. So let's get started. First thing we do is read it through. Goddess, I hope I'm still in the same body. The girl coaxed her heavy eyelids open. The flickering of the fading fluorescent lights in the yellowed tile ceiling pierced her hypersensitive visual implants. First, she wanted to wince. Then she wanted to vomit. She jerked forward, spitting the bile from her empty stomach onto the floor below. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. A cold cybernetic arm slammed her chest down into the ragged padding of the worn treatment chair. The dim lights outlined the boy's sharp profile, and she gasped. Hero? Good, you know me. His brown eyes, speckled red, stared down into her face. Yes, what's your name? Hero, it's me, Miyako. No, your real name. Her eyes narrowed. I fucking hate you. The pale boy pushed his arm into her throat. Your name? Fine, she sputtered. It was Derek Hardy. Hero sighed, releasing her larynx. Good, hold still and stay quiet. As he leaned over her, his icy breath chilled her cheek. It stunk of copper. He had recently fed his bloodlust. The boy grunted and yanked the cable from the side of her neck. She grimaced. Thank you, rebooting. In her periphery, the scroll of red text confirmed her mods were rerouting to find the local access point. The Hattori district? What are we doing here? He sighed. It's an abandoned defrag station, and no, I don't know why, but I'm getting you out of here. All right, so this is clearly some juicy sci-fi. Maybe even into fantasy a little bit, depending, I'm not sure. And I think we also have some gender identity here. So if the main character is she and it says, I was Derek, we have an interesting swap of gender there, presumably. So that's interesting. It's first impressions. I'm intrigued. It's fun. I would be careful of using fucking on the first page. But again, like on our first page, we're setting tone. Like if this is going to be a book that has curse words in it, then yeah, by all means, like drop one on the first page. It's cool. You will alienate some people, but those people are going to be alienated as they get into your story anyway. So go ahead and get it on there. Just be aware that like people will have opinions about that. Okay, let's start at the top. Goddess, I hope I'm still in the same body. This is particularly interesting now that I'm knowing that there's like a gender swap in here. The girl coaxed her heavy eyelids open. Okay, so the italics are in first person, which is like internal monologue I'm getting. And then we switch into third. The girl coaxed her heavy eyelids open. The flickering of the fading fluorescent lights. I forgot to put on that. Fluorescent lights don't really... They flicker more than fade, so I might cut the flickering of the fluorescent lights, because in my experience, they don't fade either. They're on or off, and the flickering is maddening, so the flickering is the important part. The flickering of the fluorescent lights in the yellowed tile ceiling pierced her hypersensitive visual implants. Okay, so we know she's looking up at the ceiling because the lights are hurting her hypersensitive visual implants, not necessarily eyes. First, she wanted to wince, then she wanted to vomit. She jerked forward, spitting the bile from her empty stomach onto the floor below. Okay, so the floor below caught my attention, and she jerked forward. So I'm picturing someone who is, to be looking up at the ceiling, you have to be laying backwards. So if you jerk forward and you spit bile, it's going to be like into your lap. So it might add a word or two here. Like and turned, or I don't know exactly what think about the movement that you're picturing. You could even just have her like she rolled onto her shoulder and spit bile from her empty stomach onto the floor below. So maybe jerked forward onto her side. She jerked, I'm not sure. This really depends on how you're picturing it. So she jerked, I'm going to say she rolled onto her side and spit the bile. INGs are always just kind of a weaker version of a verb. So she rolled onto her side and spit the bile from her empty stomach onto the floor below. The second question, the floor below, kind of raises the question for me of like, what is she laying on? Like if she's laying on the floor, then the floor isn't really below. I mean, I guess technically it's below her, but this raises like kind of a question of where is she, right? So maybe we need another detail. Maybe it could be solved by just taking out below, or what you could do would be to say like she rolled onto her side and clinging to the arms of the recliner she was laying in, or I don't know, maybe she's strapped in or whatever it is, but like giving us a little bit of context of how she is off the floor. Or again, I think the simplest solution is just to take out below, because that raises the question of geography of where she is laying. So you can just get rid of it. She rolled onto her side and spit the bile from her empty stomach onto the floor. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. You don't need an ellipses here, just a simple period will do. A cold cybernetic arm slammed her chest down into, so right now I'm picturing her rolled over and spitting onto the floor. Then does she sit back up, or is she wiped her face with the back of her hand. Yeah, so a cold cybernetic arm slammed her chest down into the ragged padding of the worn treatment chair. Okay, so this is just a little bit of a jump for me. And again, this is really nitpicky, but on the first page, you just want to be sure that you're super clear with what is happening. You don't want to raise any confusion in the mind of your reader. Just keep things as clean as possible. So as she lay back down, I don't know. Because right now I'm picturing her kind of still puking, and then a cold cybernetic arm slammed her chest down into the ragged padding. Oh, or is she still turned over and the cybernetic arm is hitting her in the back and pressing her chest into the padding of the worn treatment chair? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what this is, so you might need to clarify this. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. How about just as a cold cybernetic arm hit her from behind and like slammed her from behind, and I don't know, this is, you don't want to get too wordy with it either. Just as a cold cybernetic arm slammed her chest down into the right, because the cybernetic arm, presumably if it's pressing her chest into the treatment chair, the arm is hitting her in the back. I'm not sure, because I don't know what you're picturing. I'm not sure how best to edit this, but it needs a little bit of tightening. I'm going to make my best guess of how I would do it. She wiped her face with the back of her hand just as a cold cybernetic arm slammed into her back and pressed her chest down into the ragged padding of the worn treatment chair. That's how I would do it. You're going to have to write a version that matches what's going on in your head. Just make sure it's really clear, because what you don't want to do is confuse your reader in any way on the first page. The dim lights outlined the boy's sharp profile, and she gasped. Hero? So again, we have like flickering lights. I made the statement here that generally they don't fade. So maybe we need another word for like a strobe. You could say a strobe of light. You don't want to use the word flickering again. Oops. A strobe of light outlined the boy's sharp profile, and she gasped. Hero? Good, you know me. His brown eyes, speckled red, stared down into her face. Now again, the way I interpreted this is that she was slammed chest first into the chair, so her face would be down. That doesn't mean that she can't be like turning and looking up, but if someone is staring down into her face, that kind of implies that she was pressed into the chair onto her back. So just consider the physiology of the setup a little bit here. So I'm just I'm gonna make what's here on the page work. Outline the boy's sharp profile. She turned her head, so I'm gonna say she turned her head and a strobe of light outlined, and I would say a boy's sharp profile, because we don't like, there's no the boy yet, there's just an arm. So we outlined a boy's sharp profile, and she gasped, "Hero, good, you know me." His brown eyes, speckled red, stared down into her. I still stared into, I would just say into her face, since the way I'm interpreting this is that she is face down but turning to look. Yes, what's your name? "Hero, it's me, Miyako." I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm sorry. "No, your real name." Her eyes narrowed. "I fucking hate you." The pale boy pushed his arm, and this would be a good opportunity to confirm that the cybernetic arm is his. So you don't want to use the exact same wording, but mechanical, or I'm just going to go ahead and put cybernetic. Cybernetic arm into her throat. I'm going to reuse the word cybernetic. If there's another word that would fill that space, that would be great, just so you're not reusing the same word. Like, cybernetic, such an interesting, unique word. To use it twice on your first page just begs the question of, like, is there another word that could go there? "Your name." "Fine," she sputtered. "It was Derek Hardy." And I like the past tense there. Hero sighed, releasing her larynx. Now, larynx is very specific. I appreciate that you're not saying neck again, but let's see. He pushed his cybernetic arm into her throat. So releasing the larynx to me would be like they're pinching the actual like voice box, right? Which is different than pushing an arm into the throat. So I would just say releasing her. You don't have to, like, we know that she's pinned. "Good, hold still and stay quiet." As he leaned over her, his icy breath chilled her cheek. And I would take out the "as." He leaned over her and his icy breath chilled her cheek. It stunk of copper. That's a great detail. And stunk of copper just has like a nice sound to it. He had recently fed his bloodlust. Very cool. Though, and it does, okay, so we're clearly in another world. In humans, it would be more like iron. So this is actually a good thing. I really like a first page that poses some questions, some like, okay, what is happening here? And this page has a lot of that. We have questions of gender identity. We have questions of like, why is this person in a treatment chair? There's a lot of physical, like the visual implants and the cybernetic arm and like these sorts of things raise really interesting questions. The boy grunted and yanked the cable from the side of her neck. Great detail. We didn't even know that was there. Like, oh, she grimaced. Thank you. Rebooting. In her periphery, the scroll of red text confirmed. Now, I'd be curious, is this like something that this character only is seeing in her periphery? Like, I'm picturing, this is, if you were looking through her eyes, you would see the text, but it's kind of off to the side. I wonder if there's a way to confirm that, or when I first read it through, I was kind of thinking there was maybe a screen that she was seeing in the periphery of her vision. I don't know. In her periphery, the scroll of the text, like against her, I don't know, eyelid? I don't know how you would phrase that. Confirmed her mods were rerouting to find the local access point. The Hattori district, what are we doing here? He sighed. It's an abandoned defrag station. And no, I don't know why, but I'm getting you out of here. So this is a rescue mission. I love it. This is weird because I don't know how you're picturing it. So I'm just going to delete this for right now. But consider if you might want to add a little something. Just delete that. To give us a little bit of context, like, does this person have information that scrolls inside their eyes that only they can see? Maybe you could give a name to that. I don't know. It might be too soon. It might be the kind of thing that you explain later and you just leave it for now. But in general, this is a powerful first scene. And just a couple suggestions for tightening up the physicality in that opening little section here. And then I'd be curious too, as the story goes on, like how much do we get the internal monologue voice. I'm not a huge fan of swapping into internal monologue, but I do like it, like from here and there. Now, like as a little sprinkling, and it can be interesting, especially since this character is not even opened her eyes yet. It kind of makes sense to start with like an internalized wish or hope. So this actually lands pretty well for me. And this is definitely something I would keep reading just out of straight up curiosity. I think it has interesting characters, Hiro and Miyako, who used to be Derek Hardy. I mean, that's a swap. And an interesting world, an abandoned defrag station, and a rescue mission. So those are my thoughts on this first page. I hope that's helpful, and happy writing, my friends. I'll see you next time.